Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to see how to create a serverless application in order to let external users who authenticate via Cognito to access resources inside your AWS account. So in this specific application, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let the users authenticate with Cognito, and then those users I will let them access an EC2 instance that's in my AWS account, and they can get the state of the EC2 instance. So if it's running, they'll get a message saying it's running. If it's not running, if it's in the stop state, it will start the EC2 instance and then give a different message to the user. So this is happened using this backend code in the Lambda function, which is written in Python. So you can just modify this code to suit your needs, but for this specific use case, I'm going to be starting an EC2 instance and then checking the status of an EC2 instance. So let me just explain a bit about the architecture. Users will be authenticated in using this Cognito, and then two Lambda functions are created, and both of these Lambda functions are behind the API gateway and is exposed using REST APIs. So user, when they authenticates, they will get an authorization code from Cognito, and this first function and the first REST API will be invoked, and it's behind this function. And what happens there is that it gets the authorization code as a query parameter in the URL, and then go to the Cognito endpoint and exchange it for access token, which will be then used to invoke this REST API. This Lambda function will be behind a different REST API, which is protected, and others can't access it without the access token. So with this access token, it will invoke this REST API and action what is behind there. So in this specific use case, I'm going to be checking the state of an EC2 instance and then starting it if it's in the stop state. So let's just get started. For here, this is a SNS topic. So this is actually optional, and this one is also optional. So this one is created, the S3 bucket is there because this Lambda function has a small HTML page hosted. So if you have any static content that you need to show up in the HTML page, you can use this S3 bucket. This is going to be a public one. Get the object URI and enter this inside the HTML code, and that is completely optional. So if you really need it, you can create it and then modify the code with the object URL. This is the SNS topic. So what I have done is, when a user authenticates via the Cognito and goes through this flow and start a EC2 instance, I have configured it to send a message to an SNS topic. We have a subscribed to my email, so I'll get an email once someone starts an EC2 instance. So this is also optional. If you need that feature, you can create this resource, otherwise you can ignore it. So this is going to be the core architecture. Let's get started. You'll need to log into your AWS console. I've logged into mine already. And first of all, you'll need the EC2 instance. This is the EC2 instance you'll be using to check the state and start and stop. I don't have any running EC2 instances at the moment. Let me get one um, created. I'm going to use a Terraform file to do it, because then I can easily destroy it once I'm done with this. Let me create a Terraform file here. I'm going to create a new Terraform file. I'm gonna save it here. Just quickly with this region, I'm gonna be using AP Southeast. And the resource, I'm gonna be an AWS instance. I'm gonna give the AMI, so you can check the AMI from the console. Let me get the AMI here. Let's go to launch instances. I'm gonna go with Amazon Linux, get the AMI ID from here, and then paste it here. Give the instance type. Gonna be using a T2 micro. and then I'm gonna give the security group. So I'll just create a security group here as well quickly. AWS security group. I'm gonna name this test server SG. So I'll give it a name demo SG, and I'm gonna give the VPC ID. I'll need to find the VPC ID from the console. And I'm not gonna put any inbound rules here because I'm not going to be SSH into this one. So I'll just give it the outbound rule. I'm gonna say from 0. So this should be enough. Let me specify the security group here. ID, let me quickly give a tag to the server. Give demo server. I think that's enough. Let's terraform it. Okay, terraform validate. See, the syntax is correct, yeah. So into terraform apply. Quickly confirm that 2 is add-in. Okay, it should be all good. That the resource group and the security group and the server, so that's fine. Let's let it create. It's completed. Let me see if the resources are there. Open up EC2. Go to run in instances. So I can see my instance is created here. So it should be all good. I have the instance ID now. Let me start with the other resources. Let's start with the Lambda functions. Go on and create the Lambda functions here. Let me create my first Lambda function. Let me call it let's say EC2 start function. Give the runtime as Python, and then skip this as it is and create the function. Let me get the code for this function then. So this is the code. So in this code there are few things you need to change. First of all, you need to put the instance ID here. Let me get the instance ID from here. And the SNS topic. So let's create an SNS topic quickly. Topics, and then create one. Let's create a standard topic. SNS serverless app. Let's create this topic. This is the ARN of the topic. Let me create here. Let's see what else we have to change. This is the GIF. So if you have any GIF, you need to show on the web page HTML content, you can put it there. I'm not gonna use it now. So this, if you have a logo, if you want to show, you can put the S3 URI here. So I'm not gonna do those things now. I'll keep it as it is and deploy this. Okay, now if I try to test this, I'm gonna create a test event. I should get an error. Test this. Yeah. What does this say? Okay, it says task timeout after 3 seconds. The reason for this is that by default Lambda function timeout period is 3 seconds, which is not enough in this case. So let's go to configuration. Let's go to general configuration and then change the timeout here. Let's put this 0 seconds, 1 minute. Save this. Let's look into the other issue. So now that it has adequate time to run, let's see what the next error is. Okay, it says unauthorized operation. So this Lambda function is created with a default role which does not have permissions to play with the EC2 service. So we'll need to change that. In order to do that, go to configuration, permissions. This is the role. Click on that role. Then add permissions, add inclined policy. Then create select a service. So let's go with EC2. Let's create the action list and then described instance status. This one. That should be enough. And for the right, you'll have to give start EC2 instance. Those two should be enough. That's enough. You have to specify the instance. I'm gonna give any range and the resource instance asking for the instance ID. May give the instance ID here. Add ARN. Should be all good. Next, I'm gonna give this the lambda EC2 test role. Sorry, this is the policy. Main policy. Create this policy. So it is attached here now. So that error should go away. But one other thing, this role will also need permissions to publish to the SNS topic. So let's give that as well. So we'll go to the role, add permissions, add inclined policy, select the service as SNS, then write, we can select publish, specify the ARN. It's asking for the topic name. Let's get the topic name from here. This is the topic name. Copy that across and add. Now this should have access to publish to that topic as well. Let's create this. Yes, now it should be all good. Now if we try to test the function, it should work. Let's go to code. Let's try to test it. It's working. Status code is 200 and somewhere around here you should find the h1 which says what the status is. So this is the HTML tags, you can just ignore it. Let's see. Okay, the next function we need to create is the token function. So this function is where you'll get it will get the authorization code, go to the Cognito endpoint and exchange that for the access key, which is then used to invoke the second Lambda function which we created already. So this one I'll name this as access token function and then give the runtime, create the function. And then let's go to the code. Let me get the code for this. So this is the code. Let me copy it here. And then there are some changes you need to do. So here you can see you'll need all the details of your Cognito domain. Since the Cognito is not created yet, let's create that first. You need to create your Cognito user pool. I'm gonna select email and phone number. Let's keep this as it is, optional. And then next, I'm gonna disable self-registration. Scroll down, like with Cognito, let's just give test SMS, let's keep as it is. Next, user pool one. We'll be using the Cognito hosted UI and then give the custom domain. You can use a Cognito domain rather than using a custom domain. Let me just give one quickly here. Serverless app. Yes, should be all good. Now use a confidential client because you'll need the client secret later on. So I'm gonna give app one and the callback URL. You need to put something here. This is going to change later. Let me just put this callback as for now, and then next, and then just create this. Now app integration, then here you'll get all the details. So this is the app client ID. Let's copy it across. App client ID is going to be this one. Let's copy the app secret, client secret. So this one, and the domain. Domain is going to be this one. Okay, and you'll need to modify the domain again down somewhere. It should be somewhere here. Where is it? Here, the Cognito domain. Need to again edit that. Should be it. So there are some more things you need to get, but for now that's enough. And for this redirect URI, you need to put the callback URL of the Cognito user pool, but that's going to change. So in order for that to change, we'll need to create the REST APIs. So let's go to API gateway. Let's go to REST API build, and I'm gonna give this REST API 1, create API. Let's keep the endpoint type as regional, create resource, and then I'm gonna say get status, create the resource, create a method for this. Let's choose get Lambda function, and then the resource should be C2 start, which if you are going to go with get status, yes, get status, which would be all good. Create the next resource, which is to get token. Create this, create a method. Okay, select get here Lambda function, select this and select access token. I need to do some changes here. I need to edit this and click on Lambda proxy integration. Once it is done, you can deploy this. Let's select a new stage called dev, deploy this. So now it's done. Let's try to access these. So if I go and get the invoke URL and try to access this, let's say get status. Okay, so I'm getting the response EC2 instance is running, but this is not a good practice because now this REST API is exposed to the internet and anyone can access it. So you have not configured any authentication, so anyone can access it. So if your instance is stopped, as per my use case, it's going to start the EC2 instance, so I don't want this to be accessible by the public. So I'm going to change that now. So what I can do here is go to API gateway, specify your authorizer. I'm going to give this as Cognito auth, and then select the authorized type as Cognito, select the user pool. And then here you can give the token source. So what this token source is the token, the header that you are passing with, passing to invoke this API, REST API, the second REST API. So if you're using my code, you'll need to give auth token, because that's how I have configured the code to pass the header as. So you need to put auth token here and then create this authorize. So still I should be able to access this from the public, even though you have specified the authorizer here. You have not uh, secured the resource here. So in order to do that, go to method request, edit, and authorization, select the pool. I'm gonna give the scope as email here and then save this. And I'm gonna deploy this again. So if I give it some time, go here, fetch this, I still can see it. Yeah, now I can see that message is unauthorized. So if anyone has this invoke URL now, and if anyone try to use this, they won't be able to get anything, because they'll be given this message called unauthorized. So in order to invoke this REST API going forward, you'll need to pass a header called auth token, and value should be the access token, which is given by Cognito for the authenticated user. So it's all good now. So let's try to finish this off. So redirect URI. Now we have to put this redirect URI, which is the callback URL of Cognito. Said that that's going to change. Yeah, we are going to change it now. So we are going to go here to app and then change the callback URL. So we are going to give the callback URL as the get token, and we are going to copy it to the code as well. So here should be here, and then scroll down. This is the second API. We have exposed that using get status. We need to do those changes there. So I think that's all. Okay, so here also I'm not sure if it is updated. Let's see. It's the same as this one. I think so. It's already updated. Yes. So let's just deploy this one and then save changes to this one. Okay, now I think we are ready to test it. So if we go to hosted UI and open the hosted UI, we'll need to log in. So I don't have any users at the moment. Let me just create one quickly. Go to users, create user. I'm gonna use the email. Gonna mark this as verified. I'm gonna set the password here. Now I'm gonna try to sign in from here. Have to give a new password here. I'm gonna send it. Okay, it's given an internal server. Let's see what the issue is. Let's go to the access token. Let's test this. Let's test and see. Okay, it says key error query string parameters. Okay, shouldn't be an error here. See, inspect. Says bad gateway. Let's see what the issue is. Let's go to the code and see if we can find the issue here. You have given the correct redirect URI. Think so. This is the get status REST API invoke URL, so that's correct. Hmm. You here and try to get status. Yes, it's unauthorized. Go to get token. We should get an error because we are not passing. Yes, we are not passing anything. Let's try to invoke this using postman. I'm going to get a new send a get here, get token. I'm gonna pass parameter code. I'm gonna give a value to it. Let's get the value from here. So this is going to be the value. Let's send it. Okay, it says token exchange fail. Okay, it says bad request. So let's see. Let's log back in. Code is changed, I think. Okay. See what the error is from the function. See if these are correct. That's correct. Okay, so I think the issue is here. Even though we did change the default runtime, default timeout for the other function, we did not here. So I think 3 seconds is not enough. Let's give 1 minute here as well. And let's try to run it again. So I'm gonna go back. Sorry. I'm gonna go back here. And I'm gonna log in again. Yes, the issue is fixed now. So the issue was with the timeout period. We need to change the timeout for both Lambda functions to be 1 minute, um, so it will work. So now it's giving the message EC2 instance is running, so which means now it's taking the code, going to the Cognito endpoint and exchanging that for access token, and so it's all good. Now we'll stop the instance and check what happens, but before that let me make sure I've subscribed to this topic so I get an email as well. I'm not, so let me subscribe quickly. So I have subscribed now. Let me confirm from the email side. I will confirm the subscription. I have confirmed it now. So let's see if I am confirmed here. Yes, I'm confirmed. Let's stop the EC2 instance. Stop this. And let's start from the beginning. Let's get the hosted UI URL here. Start from new tab. Let's go there. So what does it say? EC2 instance is currently offline. We have initiated the start process now. So the instance was stopped and it has been started. How to confirm? If we go to instances and if we refresh, if we keep refreshing, it's not in the running state still. I think it's still starting. Let's wait for a couple of seconds here. And until this is started, I will show the email side. So I will put my email to this tab. So here I have my email. So if you can see, I've got a notification saying this instance ID was started by the user and this is the email ID. So this email ID once authenticated is stored in ID token, which is in the first function. I extract the ID token and get the use email from there, and then it is passed as a header to the second function so that it can send to this SNS topic these details. So you'll have a proper login as well. So if someone start the instance, you'll get the instance ID and you'll get the username of whoever started it. So it's a full solution. Let's yeah, you can see that it's started now. It's in the running state. So that's it for this video. If you have any issues, you can comment down below.